young man who, well, he's not my son, but nonetheless, he's a good young man who, as soon as I saw his email, and I couldn't believe it, I just thought, this guy is who we need to represent the young people of our town. He may not think so, but I'm absolutely certain that he will be able to help project a lot more things for the young people, and say no to the TPP and further political representation in our town or in our country or wherever he is. This is Adam Herbert.
Good morning. I want to own a house. I want my children to own a house. I want my children to live long enough to have the opportunity to be denied to own a house. I want to eat organic food and trust that it's organic. I want to know that my food isn't poisoning me. I want our dollar to be safe from a foreign financial crisis, and I want our country to be able to make a political stand for the environment. And most of all, I want to protect our country's sovereignty. Hi, my name is Adam Herbert, and I'm an 18-year-old prefect at Tauranga Boys College. At my school, our Latin motto is Pergo et Parago, which directly translates to strive and achieve. Us here today, we are all striving to achieve a common goal for a democratic process to be put in place regarding the dirtiest deal that this country doesn't know about. Political scientist Larry Diamond states that one of the 4 key elements that democracy consists of is the active participation of the people as citizens in politics and civic life. I'd like to make a list right now of the things that New Zealanders cannot vote for. Firstly, the TPPA, sending troops to Iraq, the sale of state houses, GCSB spying, fracking and seabed drilling, MP pay rises, and what to do about a housing crisis. And on the other hand, the things that we can vote for are a flag referendum, which is being done backwards anyway, wasting taxpayer money. Now, I may not be a political analyst, but that sounds like quite the opposite of the active participation of the people as citizens in politics and civic life. And if the government's not doing one of the fundamental aspects of democracy, then what does that make our government? Exactly. To the naysayers out there who may say, I'm just an 18-year-old, I haven't even had a chance to vote yet. Why should I be so passionate about something at such an age? Well, not all teenagers are stuck on the Xbox. Though, I'll admit I do have an Xbox, and I am rather attached to it. But that's not the point. Teenagers are not the angsty, idle-minded, sex-crazed monsters that pulp culture and our parents make us out to be. We have brains too, and better yet, we have fresh brains, and the advantage to be able to learn from the generations before us mistakes. We're internet savvy as well. To research the TPPA, all I had to do was type in a 4-letter acronym I heard Mum raving and ranting about at home, and I only did it to see what all the fuss was about, and look at where it's gotten me. Me, an 18-year-old who should really still be in bed at this hour, but is instead gathering all of his friends to come to a protest about a subject that I had to tell them about. The youth care, and we care a lot. The older generations... The older generations may be more involved in politics now, but we are the ones who have to clean up the mess 30 years down the track. And right now, we want to minimize the mess as much as possible. And the TPPA is a glass of red wine rapidly descending on our nice, long white cloud carpet. So I see my job here today as not to just give fantastic metaphors, but to provide a voice for the youth of today. As I said in my opening statement, I want a house. I want medicine, I want all of these things, and all of these things are exactly what the TPPA will guarantee I cannot have. You have heard, and you will hear today, other people talking about the specific effects it will have on the economy, the medical system, and so on and so forth. And I could talk the back legs off a donkey about that too, I assure you. But I feel the perspective of the youth is more important to share with you. I'm worried about the future. I'm worried about what my generation is going to have to do to reverse the effects of what our government is doing at the moment, if it even is reversible. My generation has all taken history at school, so the mistakes and great moments in our past are fresh in the youth's minds. Look back at the Muldoon government. Piggy said, "Not by the hairs on my chinny chin chin," and refused to do anything about the highly controversial Springbok tour, saying that politics should not interfere with sport. This is fundamentally wrong. Politics have a place in everything, especially in New Zealand society, and even more so in this day and age. Of course, the people of New Zealand would not stand for this atrocity, so like us here today, they leapt into protest, resulting in New Zealand, this little hick country at the bottom of the world that nobody's heard about, challenging one of the world's powers. Even more so under the Longi government in the 80s. Think back to the sinking of the Rainbow Warrior, a tragic event at the time whose legacy would live on to inspire millions across the globe everywhere to take environmental action, all because we stood up for what we thought was right and stopped nuclear testing in the atolls. Again, little old New Zealand changing the world. Speaking of New Zealand and the Longi government, our green image would be much more carcinogenic and fluorescent had the people not stood up to America to stop the superpower in the world and saying no to nuclear material entering New Zealand. To put it bluntly, that took balls, New Zealand. What has happened to us? Balls and ovaries. What has happened to us, New Zealand? Are we so afraid to stand up to our government for what is right, that we are willing to let something slip through the cracks that we're not allowed to read, that compromises our nation's sovereignty? People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people. And that's what we're doing here today. Letting the shonky John Key government know that we aren't happy with them and we're not going to take it. The very universum vivis vici. By the power of truth, I, while living, have conquered the universe. I interpret this to mean that the most amazing superhuman things are achievable through the power of truth. And that's what we are all here for today, a push for the truth. We are all here for a common idea, and ideas are bloody bulletproof. Thank you. Enjoy your day, stay active, stay liberal, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet on the ground and wear your heart on your sleeve. Kia kaha.